Welcome to the Casual Shooters Podcast, your premier podcast for the casual shooter. I am your host, David Riddle. My guest tonight has competed in a bunch of different disciplines of shooting, if you want to call it that. He's a multiple time IDPA National Champion. He was an alternate for USPSA at this 2025 World Shoot in South Africa for Classic Division. He's been top 10 USPSA Nationals and also single stack or Classic Division, whichever you want to call it. And he's basically been around guns his whole life. And he's from the Deep South. If you would, join me in welcoming to the show, Mr. Brady Hardin.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. If you would take a brief moment and introduce yourself.
I'm very tall, I'm very ginger, and that's about it.
Well, we're going to be getting into the whole height thing because when I was looking back at pictures, I'm like, it seems like everybody is short until I got to Ashton Hammond. And then,
Yes.
And then finally there were some similarities, and I haven't met you in person, but I have run into Ashton Hammond in person, and he's a big guy. He's a tall guy.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, I'm 6'5", like 165. So yeah, I'm pretty tall, kind of slender. So
yeah.
But
So you're 5'17". Okay.
Yes.
So you're like right at that same height as Mason and Nils and.
Yeah, well, there's a kind of a group of us that's been around. I think Bob is the only one that's really kind of towers over all of us.
Mark Schulte shooting PCC is also 6'9".
Yes. He's
so him and Robert
behemoth.
Crow, yeah, they're definitely the tall guys in the sport.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're centers. The rest of you are forwards in the game of basketball.
Well, I played center. Heck, I played offensive and defensive line whenever I was in high school and middle school.
Yeah. Well, to play today, you'd have to put on a little weight.
I really needed it back then too, but it kind of is what it is, I guess.
Right. Are you one of those people that can eat anything and everything and never gain weight?
Yes and no. Like I used to whenever I was younger and all, but now like I've noticed that it'll kind of catch up with me. Like college, I never saw the freshman 15 or any of that, but my in shape weight whenever we would start basketball and stuff, I would be like 145, and then out of season I'd be 150. But now I kind of hover around like 165, 170. So that's a little better for me.
Wow. Okay. That would be quite on the lean side.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Let me pull up all right. So I like to throw out some icebreaker questions right at the beginning, make your brain work, get the hard drive spinning, makes the rest of the conversation go easy. Okay.
Okay. You might send me a break here. Who knows?
You know what? You wouldn't be the first. It's all good. All right. Think back to the beginning of your competitive shooting career.
Okay.
And think Neo in the Matrix, how they would plug in and download software to his brain housing group and he would learn things instantly. If you could learn one shooting skill instantly, what would it be?
Probably visual patience and all of the things that are associated with that. Because vision tends to lead a lot of the shooting and tells you what to do next and all. So I think starting out with that fundamental, especially because I didn't know anything about sights or sight alignment or any of that stuff whenever I got started doing the pistol stuff. So that would have benefited me very greatly from the get-go.
Did you do rifle stuff first?
So when I first started, I was 5 or 6, but Dad started me on a 22. He had a stainless Ruger 1022, had iron sights on it, and I could shoot it fine, but like it wasn't until later on that he discovered that I did a whole lot better with an optic at the time because sight alignment wasn't exactly explained to me.
Right.
Um, but did that, and then my church I grew up in had started doing like the game and wildlife conservation had came over and started doing like skeet shoots and stuff like with the youth group and all. So like I did that from the time I was a kid up until I was a teenager and got into doing more shotgun and all that, but never picked up a pistol till I was 19.
Okay. So you had a lot of long gun time, but no pistol time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Second one. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. There's parts of me that wants to say like speed or something because I've never been all that fast. And I'm thinking about back in like sports in high school, how that would have benefited me some, especially as awkward as I am, um, or uncoordinated. Um, yeah, we'll probably go speed.
Okay. That's what I went with. I went with the Flash, like be as fast as the Flash.
Yeah,
But I also went with shooting as accurately as possible at any speed.
that
So
makes
now when you
sense.
combine the two of them together, I just made Christian Seiler look slow and terrible.
That's fact.
Yeah, see there? That's
Yeah,
how you beat him.
that's true. Which it'd be hard for me though, because like probably my favorite, you know, fake superhero, I guess, is Captain America and all, because like there's a real side to him, so
Right.
I kind of register more of that.
Okay. A lot of people like the whole fly thing, you know?
It's convenient, yeah. It keep you from having to walk or having to drive or sit in traffic. But then again, like unless you go to a big city around here or there's road work going on, I don't really sit in a whole lot of traffic unless I'm traveling. So
Still, everything's, quicker in a straight line. You can
that's,
fly in a straight line, but you can't drive in one.
that's true.
What is a food you'll never get tired of?
A food or a form of food?
However you would like to answer it.
Peanut butter. I have always
Okay.
loved peanut butter. Like whenever I would come home from basketball practice or whatever I had going on at like 3 o'clock, if we did stuff in athletics, or if I had practice till like 5 or 6 or 7 that night, first thing I would do if supper wasn't ready yet, I would sit down and start my homework, but I would have a family size jar of Jif peanut butter and a sleeve of Ritz crackers. And I would eat the whole sleeve of crackers and then go sit down and have dinner. Um, but I went through like a family size jar of Jif peanut butter a week back then.
Creamy or crunchy?
Creamy, primarily, if you're gonna like eat it on something or if you're just like want a spoonful of peanut butter. But I do like the crunchy too, though. It just kind of depends on the application.
All right. You just saved the entire podcast. We almost ended it as soon as you said creamy, but you saved yourself. You said you do like crunchy depending on the application. So, all right.
Yeah.
We'll continue.
Okay.
I'm a crunchy. I guess I'm like you, but the opposite. Like I prefer crunchy, but I'll eat creamy too. I don't care. I just like
Yeah.
the crunch. Like I'll get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and put potato chips on it,
Oh, yeah,
and
dude. A
and
potato
it gives a
chips on a
crunch.
sandwich like that is
Uh,
great.
It is,
Especially,
isn't it?
yeah, like, especially if you do a peanut butter and banana sandwich with crunchy peanut butter and
Yes.
then you put some honey on there.
Oh, now I just ate Chipotle and now I'm getting hungry again. Man, yes, but peanut butter, banana, and drizzled with honey, 100%.
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. If you could have dinner with one person in history, anytime, any period in history, who would it be? Can't be anybody you're related to or girlfriend, wife. What a mistress doesn't none of that.
Um, I would probably, well, I think the no-brainer for me would probably honestly be Jesus, because you think about it,
Hmm.
you go back and you can have whatever conversation that you wanted to have, and the man that has all the answers is right there, you
But
know.
do you want to know those answers?
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be about asking for answers to me. It would just be, all the stuff that we read about in the Bible of how he was and how he treated everyone. Just getting to see that and experience up front. Like, we're going to get to do that one day whenever we're in heaven. But, getting to see that back then, that would have been pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have been terrified. I was baptized in the Jordan River.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
but I have thought about that, and I'll be honest. I would have been disappointed had you said anybody else based on everything I've read of yours and looking into your background. I fully expected you to answer that way, but at the same time, I'm like, I for a living, I read body language.
Yeah.
And I would not want to have dinner with that guy and read body language that was like, why am I talking to this guy who's going to hell? Like, I don't
Well,
need that. I'd rather it be a surprise.
and I mean, I don't think that it necessarily would went that way because, talks about Jesus, loves everybody, hates the sin, so he would have showed you love.
Oh, I know he would have, but I would have also been like, I'm sorry, I'm disappointing you. There's so many layers to that I don't know because I've considered that. I'm like, why has nobody said Jesus yet? But I'm like, I don't know that I would either. So, all right, last one.
All right.
If money were no object, what would you be doing right now?
I would have a house in the mountains with a range on it that specifically had a pistol bay in it that would be just say 100 yards deep just to do whatever you wanted to do on that, and probably about 30, 40 yards wide. That way you could set up multiple stuff, have a rifle range on it that would go uh, at least like 700, 800 yards or something like that, but across terrain, not something flat. Like if you could have something like peak to peak or something of like some little knobs or hills, like that would be ideal.
Interesting. Why that specific layout for rifle?
Probably all That's pretty much all I would probably ever get into realistically, especially like, you know, with the type of rifle stuff that I've done in the past and like what I'm kind of gearing up to do now. That's probably all that I'm really going to be around because I've never done a whole lot of long range precision bolt gun type stuff. But that stuff interests me, but I probably still wouldn't do a whole lot of it. But have that and just travel around, shoot all the time.
Well, how would you use that rifle range?
Um, well, one thing that I've always wanted to do is I wanted to get more into the competitive rifle side and all. So I would spend a lot of time learning that stuff and figuring that stuff out and just kind of constantly improving on that. But then I always wanted to get more into like big game hunting and all because basketball season always seemed to kind of get in the way of that because our coach did the boys and the girls. So we would kind of alternate and either we would practice before school in the mornings at like 5 o'clock in the morning, or you would practice till late at night. So if you do that, or if you did both, then you really didn't have time to go get in the woods and all whenever hunting season was around. So, but I would kind of like to do that too,
I feel like you would be an NRL hunter guy,
maybe.
competition wise.
Yeah, probably so, because that stuff looks like it's pretty cool. I know Austin and Walt do pretty good with it.
Well, and I think too that it's a little bit more practical than PRS.
Yeah.
You know, when you're shooting at animal shaped steel versus, you know, just a rectangle that's hanging there or a square or a circle, you know?
Oh, yeah. Especially how they have that range laid out like that. Like, that's super cool.
Yeah. Have you have you seen any of the well, first off, have you competed in any PCSL stuff?
I did my first one at a local match last weekend.
Okay, we'll get there. Couple years ago, well, 2024, December of 2024 and 2023, Max Leograndis had their nationals at Prairie Fire. And Prairie Fire has a rifle range that's a mile. So you can go there, you can rent their rifle and buy the ammo and shoot out, and they'll have someone go out there with you to spot your rounds and talk to you. And you can shoot out to a mile, or you can just go to the regular platform, which is probably 150, 200 yards closer. But they have like 10 full size animal steel targets way out at distance, and they have those lights on them. So if you make impact, it lights up and you can see it through your scope.
No, that's cool.
That is cool. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, because that setup is probably one of the most interesting ones I've heard about. Then I know Cameo, that rifle range they have there, I want to say, I think it goes out to 1200. I can't remember. But just how they have all the steel stacked out there, the different 100-yard intervals and stuff across the mountain peak, like that's really cool. And then my range that I'm a member of out here, Brock's Gap, you know, well, it's still kind of new right now, but they had a range in like downtown Birmingham or downtown Hoover before it grew to a city, and it was only like 82 acres. Well, there got to be a point to where there was nothing but subdivisions that completely surrounded it, and they had a lot of problems with bullets leaving the range and all.
Right.
Specifically, primarily one resident over there, but they found a place in Pell City, literally two exits down the road from CMP, and it's 863 acres, and they put
Whoa.
a 1,400-yard rifle range out there, and I can't remember if it's 24 or 30 action base.
Whoa. Really?
Yes, so they have all those action bays there together, and like one part of it, IDPA sets up on, one part USPSA and PCSL set up on, and then all the steel challenge stages always stay set up. And then there's also another part of the range that has like just some all steel stuff on it. And then there's four or five 50-yard bays. And then there's a 270-yard rifle range. And there's a clubhouse up there where you can have like classroom education stuff. And then they're supposed to do a shotgun and like clays at some point. But for right now, we were just trying to get moved and get things usable a couple of years ago.
Wow. Now I've seen you posted videos at CMP, not at nationals, at CMP. So how close are you to CMP and this other range?
So CMP is 40 minutes down the road from me. I live in a little place called Jacksonville, kind of northeast. But takes 40 minutes to get there from here, and then Brock's Gap over in Pell City, like I said, it's another two exits down the interstate. So probably an hour, call it that, by the time you weave back in the woods to find that one. But the good thing for me is where I work at in Lincoln, CMP is 10 minutes down the road from that. So
Wow.
anytime when Nationals has been in town, and if I needed to go into work that Friday before I started shooting Nationals or something, I'd just go in, then I'd hop out and leave and go to the range.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
Very, and I've loved it for a lot of years because of that.
Right. Now neither Cardinal nor Sups is 30 minutes down the road.
No, I'm a little sad about that. But we still got World Speed Shoot, so
You do. So you could always do that.
yeah, I'm gonna do that for the first time this year, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What division?
Well, I'm signed up for 3, and, I was actually talking with, Nighthawk today, that may change a little bit what I'm signed up for. So I'm signed up for LO, limited, and single stack right now, but it may it may change to single stack, LO, or limited, and revolver. So, we'll see.
Wait a minute. How did Revolver get thrown into this mix?
Well, I was talking to him today and told him, was like, hey, I'm doing this. I've got 3 divisions I'm signed up for. If you've got something that you want me to switch around and shoot, just so y'all get the publicity from it or whatever, it's like I'll do that. And he said, let me know what model or something to send you. I said, uh, let me look at the divisions because I know there's some different requirements for Revo, but there's like 4. So I got to go do that research here after a while and see, tell them exactly what to send.
Wow. Now, I would assume that World Speed Shoot, they have a Revolver optics division. They have everything plus optics for all the division.
Yes, and I can't remember if they approved compensators or not. And if they have that, there is a specific model core that has a red dot and a compensator.
On a Revolver.
Yes, and it is wicked to shoot, especially in 357.
Wow. What's the capacity?
8.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, and you only need 5, so
Yep.
you'd be all right. You got a few throwaways there.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to spend a little time with it, and, I I've well, last year, I bought my first double single action gun and I haven't really ever messed with a double action gun before. There's been 3 IDPA matches I've shot where a pickup gun was a revolver of some form, and just through a little bit of coaching and stuff, like, I manage fine with learning how to roll through the trigger and all on those, and it's been fine there. But if I'm actually gonna compete with one on that level, I'm gonna need to spend a little time with it.
For sure. Okay. Those are all the hard questions are done, so the sweating can stop. Now there you go. We'll move along. Now you do have as we kind of mentioned, or as I mentioned too, in the intro, and you mentioned that you've basically been shooting since you were 5 years old.
Mm.
And I saw that in your background, you went to a match just to get better because you were carrying a pistol and you wanted to get more proficient with that.
Yep. So, when I first learned about competitive shooting, I was actually 14, and I learned about it through my youth director and some other guys I went to church with, and they showed me some videos. And now this time was when like plate racks and Texas Stars and all that stuff was still legal in IDPA. So I seen that as a 14-year-old. I was like, whoa, that's really cool. It's like, Mom, Dad, I want to do that. And they didn't know anything about that. They're like, no, you're not doing that.
Hmm.
So I stuck with sports until I got out. But then when I turned 19, Alabama dropped their concealed carry permit age down to 18. So I got a permit. I bought a Gen 3 Glock 23 out of a buy sell bulletin from this dude that was kind of a hippie. And then I got in a little bit of trouble with my parents because they were like, why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I wanted to be a responsible person and protect myself. I don't know what else you expect me to say, but they took it away for a little bit, and then I got it back, and I was about to turn 20, and, my dad told me, he's like, "If you're gonna carry this, you need to practice at least once a month." So I said, "Okay, I can do that." Well, I remember the matches, and I called my youth director up, and I said, "Hey, I wanna go to one of these matches and start doing this stuff, and that be, like, my practice and all, because I didn't know how to practice or do anything else at the time. Um, so I went, and actually, I can't remember if it's gonna be this weekend or if it's gonna be in 3 more weeks. Will be exactly 11 years ago. Um, but I went pretty well, fell on my face. I didn't come in dead last. I was like 2nd or 3rd to last, but it was an IDPA match, and it was whenever half second scoring was still a thing. My total points down was like 220, 230, something like that for 6-stage club match. And my raw time was about the same. So,
Wow.
yeah, I was very, very bottom of the barrel. So when I said earlier, I didn't understand side alignment or what the sights were and how those worked, the evidence showed.
Okay. So, wow. So, what did you do then going forward to improve?
Well, I identified from it that, okay, I dropped a lot of points. I got to figure out how to do that. So then I started kind of doing some research on YouTube and started, figuring out the side alignment stuff and working through that. And then really the one that I picked up on that seemed like it slowed me down a lot was, like the draws and the reloads and the moving around and all that stuff just seemed to be real slow. And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, you know, it seems like in terms of the actual shooting stuff, the manipulation side seems like something that I can practice and really clean up and get to where it is up there with the top guys. Just their, well, I didn't know what dry fire was at the time, but they're dry fire. Um, so I started just doing draws and reloads a lot and had got a par timer after that and just really started focusing in on that, how to make sure that, I'm hitting the mag well perfect and doing all that stuff. And then I really started pushing speed and I started scoring that mag well up a lot. Um,
Mm,
but really just working on that stuff and then really honing in the alignment for the sights and all. And then, of course, with it being a Glock, figuring out how to pull the trigger was the thing that started to come next, and what I really started to notice whenever I was starting to figure out the sight alignment. And then also with it being a 40 cal compact gun, uh, grip was a factor in that too.
yeah.
So yeah, which I didn't
So,
compete with that gun too much till I bought a 34 a couple months after.
okay. How did you learn to dry fire? Because a lot of people, if they don't know like how to shoot, they typically don't know how to dry fire. Like you just said, I was dry firing, but I didn't know it was called dry firing.
Mhm.
So, how did you determine what you needed to do in dry fire? Meaning, I know what you did, but I
How did I
still
figure
don't.
that out?
Yeah, how did you figure that out? Did you was there a podcast? Was there a video? What how did you get there?
So, like, I never saw anything that actually ever said dry fire on it, but I hadn't thought to look at YouTube or anything a whole lot yet, but there was still like some stuff that would come on like the outdoor channel, and like Gun Talk Media was one. And I remember like watching a lot of stuff with Chris Sereno on there. And this was way before I discovered Top Shot and all that too. Um, but like stuff where he's talking about, how you can put a piece of brass on the front sight and press the trigger and, not move the gun, doing that kind of stuff. But then, too, just like I said, the draws and the reload aspect of it is something that identified was poor from my own skill set just from doing the match. So I just took that I kind of identified on my own there and just started hammering on it just at random and pretty blindly.
Okay. How was the progress? When you kept going to these matches, how much were you progressing each match?
Um, I think the second one, 'cause the first one I did was in March. I think the next one I did was in May, and I had a 34th time. And I think that my overall score was probably cut in half. And then, because I was in college at the time too, still, and working part time. And then I don't think I did another one until like maybe October or something later on that year. And did one, and then I met somebody, and I'd said something about three gun whenever we're talking, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." Blah blah blah. Like, yeah, you should come out and do this. And I was talking to him later that week, and he's like, "Oh no, it's not three gun, it's USPSA." I was like, "Oh, what's that?" So went to my first USPSA match at CMP, and this was whenever CMP had been open for only 2 3 months, maybe. Like the gravel and stuff that's on the bays was like just barely starting to get put down.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you perform at your first USPSA match?
Don't remember. Um,
Okay.
I should go back and look at that. That'd be interesting because I didn't know any better, and I just did what that guy told me to do at the time and just shot a limited minor.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What year was that?
I was 20, so that would have been 2015, I think.
All
Yeah,
right.
because I started doing sanctioned IDPA matches the year after that. Because my very first one of those was Alabama State in 2016.
Was out of state?
Alabama State.
Oh, Alabama State.
Yeah. Sorry, you got caught up in the draw there.
Well, it doesn't help that my hearing is terrible. So, but
I
yeah,
mumble a little too.
my wife is from Long Island, and she'll say stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. I heard something, but I have no idea what I just heard. So I get it. Um, so at what point do you think then that you started? Well, first off, at what point were you like, okay, I really like this. I'm going to put some more time and effort into it to get better.
It was really after that first IDPA match, but the USPSA, when I went and did that, like, there's probably more after that one that I was like, "Okay, I'm really in this now, like, I want to do more of this stuff," and that's whenever I started looking at sanction matches and doing all that, and then because I think it may have been in 2016. I'd have to go back and look at the year, but my first ever sanctioned USPSA match was Area 6, the last year that they had it at Atlanta Practical Shooters.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea when that was.
Yeah, like I said, it would have been 16 or 17. Like, I've still got some pictures and stuff from that match on there that pop up every now and then, but I'd have to look at the date.
Well, that's still pretty early in your shooting career. So,
Mhm.
what did you think of that when you went and shot that?
I thought it was a lot of fun, but, like, with it being a big area match, like this seeing a lot of the big names and stuff that I had started to see and started to hear about and all, like saw Dave Savigny and stuff for the first time. I watched him go shoot a memory stage that like just ate my lunch because I didn't know what a memory stage was. And he crushed it. And then Max Michelle was there. Um, I'm trying to remember who all else would have been there. There'd been like big name, but those two are really the only ones that I remember.
I feel like at one time people shot area matches a lot more, like the late 20 teens, early 2020s, and it seems to have died off since then. Do you feel have you noticed
Yeah,
or okay.
because that match was jam packed, just full of people. Because I remember the shooters meeting that morning, like there was hundreds of us standing there just doing the all day on a Saturday. But then you also had people doing the half days of AM and PM and all, and then you had an all day Friday, and it is like
Yeah.
insane back then. And then COVID came along and killed everything. And then it really seems like maybe last year was the first time we saw a lot of the area matches and especially nationals, like the participation really come back up.
But I'm still not seeing like so like one of the area matches. Let me pull it up here. Whoop. Microphone likes to fall over on occasion. Um,
Timber.
yeah, exactly. It was one of the last area matches that I shot, and that would have been 2021, I think. And let me hit view all here. I want to say it was 2021, but that was the last time I remember. Like JJ was there, Mason was there, Nils was there. I don't think Max shot that match, but that was like one of the last ones where, and I don't even see Area 8 in 2021. Maybe it was 2020. Goodness, that doesn't make sense. I have to double check. But that it was before COVID. Christian Seiler, Aaron Eddins, John Vlieger, John Browning, Shane Coley, Nils, Mason. So all the big names were there, but I'm not seeing that same level of participation from the top 10 guys in the different divisions going around to all the different matches.
Yeah.
Um, since and COVID was probably it since COVID. Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
it is. There I was at 2021 Area 8. I was like, I know I was. Uh, John Vlieger, Chris Tilley, JJ, Aaron Eden. So yeah, I mean, Nils, Jacob, Todd Jarrett, Shane Coley. I mean, they were all there. But
Yeah. Cause like I remember like Cody Baker and all them like an open division and stuff, like and a lot of these guys that just aren't in the sport anymore, you know?
yeah, some of them aren't. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely that. You gain some and you lose some as you go along.
Yeah. There's still some out there that's still shooting though, because like Paul Kerr's a good buddy of mine. And I mean he still shoots sometimes every now and then, but he's busy with work and all. But
Okay. Yeah, he was in one of my top tens for this decade.
yeah, I think it
My
was probably
revolver.
single stack.
Okay, single stack. Yeah, it was. I knew it was a low cap. I couldn't remember which one it was.
Well, he may have been an L10 too. I don't remember because he just about won L10 one year. I think it was the year they did the Classic Nationals where they did single stack one match and did L10 and Revo the next.
Okay. Did you at some point did you go? I need to take a class with somebody, or has this all been self taught?
I did. So I I think it was later on in 16. Um, Local guy here and my mentor, Matt Sims, he's been competing for longer than I've been alive. Literally, and we joke about that sometimes. Um, but he's done that. He was a cop for a lot of years. I think about 20. Worked a lot of dope. He taught the FBI firearm certification course for the feds. He's done a lot of different teaching and stuff on the tactical side and on the competition side across the country. But it was after a match and stuff one time, sanctioned match in Birmingham. They used to have, it was called the Masters, and I was talking to him about a class and stuff, and he said, "Yeah, come up to the house sometime. We'll do one." He had range at his house and all, and I come up there and we get there, and he asked me, he says, "Well, what do you want to work on?" So you want to do more competition based, or you want to do more defensive based? And I was like, "Well, I got into this stuff from a defensive standpoint." And I said, "Let's do defensive." So we started out just doing random stuff. And one of the first things that we did was, after we did the talk about safety and transitions and different stuff like that, um, we he said, "All right, stand right here. I'm gonna give you a standby and a beep on the timer, and I want you to just draw and present and put a shot on this BC zone and stuff at like 10 yards." So okay, so go standby, beat, draw, shoot it, do it a few times, had decent times. And he said, "Okay, now it's my turn." So I give him the "Are you ready? Stand by." And when I say stand by, he draws a gun and shoots the target. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, "What are you?"
Cheater.
It's like, what? He looks at me. He's like, "How was that one?" I was like, "You didn't do it right." He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, here, I'll do it again." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was like, "All right, are you ready? Stand by." Wow. Did it again. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "You're cheating." He said, "First rule in a gunfight, cheat."
Okay.
And that story is it's a lot more humorous coming from whenever he's telling it and all. But that's that is probably one of the best first lessons and stuff from that session, and I guess really in a lot of different things.
Well, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
If there's a threat, then what are you waiting for? That's funny though.
Yeah. But I mean, we did a lot of stuff that day. I shot like some of the little self-healing ballistic dummies out there.
Mm.
We did like some physical stuff, like getting your heart rate up and still like being able to perform under pressure. Like we did some farmer carries, carried some dumbbells around, did some push-ups and some sit-ups and all that kind of jazz. And
So you did some tactical game practicing.
yes, exactly.
All right.
Then after that, I kind of worked on some of that stuff and kind of incorporated like the competitive side into that a little bit. And then later on, I did an advanced competition class with him and learned that side of it. And then a couple years after that, I did fighting in and around vehicles with him. That was super cool. And I still love all that stuff. Um, Learned how to fight with shotgun, learned how to do room clearing, learned how to do all the stuff pretty much. Like he tells everybody, said I taught him everything he knows, and he sure did. um, but at one point in the middle of all that is I had started kind of diving in and doing some books too. So the first one I ever bought was Mike Seeklander's Your Competition Handgun Training Program. And that was probably the best place to start in terms of books, just because he, especially being that green, like he went through and explained in really good detail in his book, this is what the mental side is like. This is how you need to set up your training program. This is what match pressure feels like. This is what your dry fire program needs to feel like. This is how you need to take care of your personal fitness when you're on the range or if you're at a match or whatever else. But just hit all the bases in it and had a structure and a plan there for you to help you get started. And then you can just kind of make your own out of all the different drills and stuff he had in there and kind of go from there. And then after that, I think the next one I did was Steve Anderson's. I don't think it was Refinement and Repetition. It was the one that had like a blue cover on it and had like a plate rack or something. Um, I liked that one, and that one helped me out a lot in terms of just kind of moving around more and getting a little bit of speed in there. But it was really, it wasn't structured like the one that Mike had, and like it didn't. It was good content and stuff, but it just didn't really jihad with me at the time that well. So I kind of felt like I was just a little scatterbrained with it. And then at some point after that, I did Ben Stoker's Dry Fire book and his Live Fire books, and then just kind of done some of the other stuff throughout the years.
Okay. It looks like it's the book Get to Work.
Yeah, that would have been it.
Okay. Because there is another one with a blue background, but it's him on the front cover. So I don't think that was it. But
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, and then did that, and then in the end of 2018, I took a class with Elias Frangulis, and he just come off winning the World Shoot the year prior, and had actually won uh, IDPA Nationals in 2018. But took a class with him for a couple days, and then that next year is really whenever I like in terms of my skill level, like it. I was in B class at that time, but like it wasn't maybe a month or two. Like I hit A, and then whenever I went to my first USPSA Nationals later in 2019, um, yeah, because we took the class in December of 18. Um, but I got a bump to master in single stack at Nationals. And also, like, that was kind of cool. And then it wasn't a few months after that, I hit GM.
Wow. So within a year, you went from B to GM.
Mhm.
What was it about his class that clicked?
It was really like everything that I'd learned so far, like literally every topic that we touched, there was something wrong or something that was inefficient in how I was doing it. And it was just like, wow, and just really eye opening because, like, just the level and attention to detail that there was, and especially something that I thought was cool was, he showed us and demonstrated the differences in executing something the most efficient way, and then the different ways that you could tell that something was left on the table. Like, if you weren't on the balls of your feet, for example, to kind of help mitigate the recoil and stuff in your stance and all, and it was moving your body back, like watching that kind of stuff, or just seeing, that you didn't come and bleed off all the energy that you did before you came into a position or something like that. And it cost you a little bit of extra time trying to get stable and get the gun aligned and all that stuff. But I remember it was either, I think it may have been IDPA Nationals the year after that or some other match. I remember standing there and because I didn't shoot IDPA Nationals, I didn't get in it that year because of this point system. Um, but I was standing there watching, and it was Shane Coley shooting the stage, and he came into position and all, and they called out his time, and I'm like, he lost 2 seconds over here because he didn't come into this position right, and he fell out of it. He had to come back in it, and he missed some shots, and he got to do it again. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, holy crap, this stuff is awesome.
Is that when you started putting it all together at that point?
Yeah, after that class, and I started spending a whole lot more time on the range because I was already pretty well doing it for as much as you kid did for a kid that's in college and working a part-time job. Um, but, like, it just got to where the practice was more purposeful in it, and, I had a lot better of an idea what I needed to be doing and how to fix it and how to identify the inefficiencies.
How much did your dry fire change?
It changed a lot, a whole lot. Um, because, I was kinda going off of, like, some of the stuff that Steve was saying at the time, and had got to where I was doing two-a-day sessions, and I would do either an hour and a half to 2 hours in the morning, and I would do the same in the evening and all, and then I would drive my parents crazy doing the evening session because, if I got home either from class, depending on however late that was, or if I didn't have class, but I got off work at a little after 5 o'clock or something, then I was coming straight home. I would do my dry fire stuff, and then I would be loading ammo on my bench down there and just keeping my parents and my little sister up um, into the wee hours of the morning, it seemed like. But uh, so, yeah, it changed a whole lot.
Did the timer give them nightmares?
I would be courteous, and I would only do the timer whenever, like, people were up and awake and all that stuff, so I tried to be courteous where they weren't just gonna rip me a new one.
Okay. That I was where was I at? Was it Area 5? Might have been IPSC Nats at Cardinal last year. I was at Area 5 or IPSC Nats. I don't remember which now. And I can remember walking down the hallway in the hotel. And as I walked down the hallway past the rooms, I could hear timers going off in rooms. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, there's a lot of different people getting some dry fire time in.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and it's kinda comical, which I always like if I have the option to pick my room and stuff, I typically because of the dry fire noise and stuff, like, I try to get a room that's, like, on the end of the hotel if I'm not staying in
Mm,
Airbnb just so that, like, I can kind of which I don't do a timer, but, like, just for the sake of running around and all the clicks and dropping magazines and doing that stuff, like, turn the volume on the TV up a little bit and just kinda hide it, that way nobody calls and complains or they send the cops up there or whatever.
right. Yeah, I usually just try to turn my timer down to as low as I can to hear the beep.
Yeah,
Because those rooms are usually pretty quiet. So you can turn the timer down pretty low.
yeah, that's true.
Was that about the same time you won your first IDPA National?
So, my very first IDPA National I shot was in 2018. And my first ever actual nationals was, of all things, I did IFSC Nationals in 2017. Um, I did my nationals approach way backwards. Um,
Okay.
but So first one was in 18, and at the time I was still fighting with that 9 mil single stack gun that I had shooting ESP. So I didn't shoot another IDPA Nationals until 2021. This first year they had it at Cameo, and I got third overall in the division, but I won first master by like I think it was 58 seconds or something. Um, so, Glenn Shelby won the division champ, Rob Latham was right behind him, and then it was me. And I was remember sitting over there after that because it was me, Matt, Mike C. Clander, and Rob Latham all off to the side talking at the Wars banquet. And I was sitting there talking to Rob. I was like, and he said something about my match and all, and I was like, yeah, but you still beat me by like 30 seconds. And I was like, I've got to find that time because I'm never going to get to where you or Glenn or anybody else is at if I can't figure it out. And he pulled up practice score on his phone right then and was just sitting there looking at it. And we kind of sitting there talking about some of the stuff. But he I did pick up some nuggets from him because I shot on the super squad for IDPA Nationals that year, and it was on. I think it may have been day 2. Um, there's a stage that was kind of short and quick and a little bit awkward and choppy, um, that we were trying to figure out a plan for, and you also had a pretty complicated stage on the other side of the bay, since IDPA does the 2 stages to a bay. Um,
Right.
and we were trying to figure all that stuff out, and I was asking Rob what he was thinking, and he said, "I think I'm gonna do this." It's like, it's not the best plan, but he said it's a plan, and a plan is all I need. I don't need the best plan, but as long as I execute one well or perfectly, then it's probably gonna be pretty good. And I was like, "Hmm, that's something to
That's
think about."
confidence.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, Rob is a different shooter. He
yeah,
his first so I've got a whole thing done up on Rob Latham. Like he's the only American shooter that has won a USPSA title in 5 consecutive decades.
yeah,
It is crazy. And what is he? 29 USPSA National Championships, 6 IDPA, 8 Bianchi Cup, and 7 Steel Challenge.
yeah. That's insane.
He literally has 50, if you add those up, that's 50 national championships and a world championship. So, I mean, there's nothing the guy hasn't done.
And, like, I don't know what other international stuff he's done besides World Shoot, but I would be curious to see if he ever did any of that too and what he's got.
Yeah, I think Rob's the only one who knows. I
Yeah.
don't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I mean, I Googled him and I looked at all of the stuff on Wikipedia and other places I could find. And I'm like, I mean, there's probably more stones to overturn to find more accolades, but I was like, 50 is pretty strong.
Yeah, that's very strong.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know of anybody else who has a USPSA title, an
Yeah,
IDPA title, a Bianchi Cup title, and a Steel Challenge. I honestly don't know if anybody else has that.
yeah,
So Doug Koenig is about the only one I can think of who might, because he has, excuse me, he has I believe a USPSA national title. I don't know about IDPA, but I
yeah,
know he has Bianchi Cup. So I mean, he's the king of Bianchi Cup. So
yeah, that's
I
true.
think he has 29 Bianchi Cup championships, something like that. He's
Gosh.
got a lot. Yeah, he's got a lot there. So, but I mean, I don't think anybody will ever overcome what Rob has done over 5 decades and all those different disciplines, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would have to be a junior that started out, which I mean, like, Jaleese and Justine, like, they've got a lot of ladies titles and stuff up there, so that's probably the closest thing that we'll ever see to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because Justine has 17, Jayleese has 14,
Mhm,
Nils has 17, Christian has 10 at the moment.
mhm,
So I feel like Christian's probably the best option or opportunity right now. He has the best opportunity because I feel like doesn't matter what he shoots. If he said he was going to handgun nationals and was shooting revolver, I'd be like, oh, Michael Poggi's in trouble. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
That's literally what I would be thinking. Um, because he's favored in whatever it is division he's going to shoot. He's favored.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think he has the best opportunity to reach the 29 championships that Rob has. But we have to remember now, for the first 17 years of Rob's shooting career, since he started winning titles, there was only one division to win.
That's true. That is very true.
So there wasn't this opportunity of multiple, like, I'll give you a prime example. Nils had 4 national titles in 2022.
Hmm. He went crazy for
He
like a
did go
few years
crazy.
there.
Yeah, and I think that same year he also won a multi-gun
Hmm.
title. So I think he actually won 5 that year. I don't remember about IDPA.
Oh, he won
If
IDPA
he
that
did
year
that.
too.
Okay, so he's won at least 6 that year.
Mhm.
But well, I say 17 years. At some point in there they did limited, but they may have done it at the same time that they did their one national championship. So it wasn't like he had opportunity to shoot multiple guns. So my point is that until 2000, when they started separating stuff out, Rob only had one opportunity to win a national title,
Yeah.
and he's got 29 of them.
Hmm.
So good luck to anyone out there to match what he has done, because it,
Yeah.
even with all the different divisions now, it's still a tall order.
That's truth. That is truth. And that's the thing. You have to, in order to get that, like, you have to go out and do multiple divisions to do it. Cause like Nils has done it, Christian's done a few, Jay Lease and Justine have done a few divisions. But I mean, like outside of that, there's not many people that have branched out from really more than 2 and a max 3 divisions.
Yeah, Mason, I think, has 3 or 4 different championships. I think he has 5 total in either 3 or 4. I want to say 4 because I think he did. I know he's done limited carry. Whoa, did he win carry? No. Limited
Uh,
production, limited 10.
he did, yeah, I think he did L10. He's won limited 3 times now after last year, right?
Yeah, I need to. I can tell
Yeah.
you in just a moment.
And then
Uh,
production last year, and yeah, I think you're right. There's another one in there somewhere.
yeah.
Well, World Shoot last year too.
Let's see. Mason has 5 in 3 divisions.
Okay.
Todd Jarrett has 6 in 3 divisions, but not to be disrespectful to Todd, but as he's still very competitive, but I don't think his national title days are still currently occurring. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he could.
Christian's got 10 and 4 right now. So I think he has the best chance because everybody above him, Jerry Michalik, he's basically retired. Max, I think, is on the downside of his career. Dave Savigny, I think, still he's very competitive, so there's a chance.
Mhm.
Um, Nils definitely can still win a few, and then I mean Rob's got 29 championships in 5 divisions, so 5 of the 8. That is nuts.
Yeah.
On the women's side, I think Justine, she's going to beat Jesse Harrison. Jesse's at 23 right now in 5 divisions. Justine's got 17 and 8. So
Mhm.
she can pretty much shoot anything and win.
I'll be curious to see what she does now, because I know she's going back and doing like open and PCC and stuff. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Right. Where in the world? That's weird.
Yeah, I heard
Like
that. I
the
was like, "What is that?"
it just the whole Chrome, which is what I use for the podcast, it just disappeared off the screen when I was looking at the Excel spreadsheet. I'm like, I can hear you talking. I know we're still going. So, but where did you go? That was fun. That was odd. That was really odd. I turned on picture in picture, so somehow that affected it, but the window completely disappeared.
Uh,
But there's a lot there. So, but that what about you? What are you're still a young guy.
yeah, I'm 31, youngish, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, people are still, up until look, Eric Griffell is still kicking everybody's ass and he's in his 40s.
Yeah,
So, the shooting sports is one of those things that if you remain healthy and physically fit to some degree, you don't have to be, a specimen. You
right.
just have to be able to. I mean, look, Rob was what, 60 years old when he won his last title,
Mhm.
and he had knee issues. So,
Oh,
it,
double knee issues.
yes. So, I mean, that's what I mean by, just physically fit enough to be able to move around a course well enough. I mean, 40 is nothing. So, you've got at least another 10 years. So, what are your goals in shooting?
Well, I don't ever see myself getting out of this. I'll put it that way.
You're stuck.
Well, like, not
You're
necessarily
stuck in a
stuck.
whirlpool. It's got you sucked in.
Yes and no, I guess, but, like, I don't ever see myself getting out of this because, like, I I mean, I love it too much. I love the people that are in it, and I've always been the kind of person that, I like different challenges and stuff, and then, I always try to figure out how to continue to progress in whatever the current challenge is, and I don't like to let things beat me. I like to figure out how to beat the things. So really that, but I definitely, you know, do a few more world shoots and stuff like that. Like I mentioned earlier, have been wanting to do the rifle stuff for years, but have just put it off and just put it off. And then like there's kind of some different things that happened and all that I was kind of like, I really need to do this, and it kind of just really just showed me, that like while you're still here, while you're still able to do it, especially like while I'm still young and all, like I need to not squander that time anymore. And I need to take the opportunities and do it while I can.
Now, rifle is quite expensive,
Yes, unfortunately.
much more expensive than pistol.
Yes, very much so.
Because I shot rifle, but I shot high power, like NRA high power before I got into pistol. And man, I can shoot way much more, way so many more pistol matches compared to rifle matches and not spend as much money. So
Yes, I'm
much easier.
I'm basically going to, when I buy rifle ammo, I'm going to close my eyes when I see the amount come up and I'm going to hit purchase.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
that's
I'm not going
ugly.
to look at a bank statement and wonder later.
That I do not load pistol ammo, but I loaded rifle ammo.
Yeah. And like I've wanted to do rifle ammo and load it, but like especially with getting into it at this point and it's like the components situation and stuff still like I don't really see a benefit in trying to get into it now.
It really depends on what you're getting into. So like mine, when it's a bullseye, that's when your X ring is 1 minute of angle regardless of yard line.
Mhm.
Well, you need your ammo to be as accurate as possible because there's always human error. You always have external, weather conditions that affect things. So you've got to make sure that ammo will shoot. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was the biggest reason I was like, I need to be able to negate two things, the rifle and the ammo, because the third
Mhm.
is me.
Right.
And I'm because I'm human, I'm gonna make a mistake here and there. So if I can get the gun to where it's consistent and the ammo is consistent, then I know that it's just me. And that's all I have to worry about.
Yeah, and, like, for me, like, I'm not the most meticulous reloader. Um, Basically, as long as it will work, if it feeds right and the projectile stays in the case and the primer goes bang, that's all I really care about. But, like, most people that have seen me whenever I'm shooting single stack major and stuff at a chronograph, they're like, "You're stupid. You need to learn how to, like, do reload data and stuff." I'm like, "Well, it's partly because the bullet weight is higher than's actually advertised, but whatever."
Right. Well, and again, that's a huge difference between pistol and rifle in that,
Mhm.
you know, you can, you don't have to be as exact in pistol
Really?
ammo.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
But with rifle, it takes me a minute for every single round.
Well, I thought that's what you were about to tell me was you didn't have to be exact with rifle, and I was like, "What?" But
Oh no,
yeah, I get you
pistol.
now.
Yeah. Pistol, it's like because of the distances, you're so close that it doesn't have to be as exact. You're not, a little bit of error in a pistol load doesn't compound itself over 800 yards,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you rarely shoot 50 yards. So at even out to 25, you're really not going to see anything.
Mhm.
And look at the size of a USPSA A zone. I
Yeah.
mean, it's massive.
Mhm.
If we broke that down into MOA, let's see, it's what, 10 inches tall? And let's just use 20 yards. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of MOAs big. It's a
Yeah.
whole lot. Oh my gosh. So it'd be it's like 50 MOA in
Yeah.
elevation.
Yeah. That's true.
So you got a lot of margin for error there. You don't have that, unfortunately, when it's so the difference would be at 20 yards, your single MOA would be a .2 size target. You know,
Oof.
that's the
Sounds
difference
rough.
between rifle and pistol.
Yeah.
It's massive,
Yeah. With the way
but
that
that's
I load
also
pistol
why I like
stuff.
them.
Oh yeah, with the way I load pistol stuff, if I loaded rifle, I'd be making major power factor with 5.56.
Oh,